Hey guys, it's the Slifer Slacker back at it with another video. No, this is not my Cosmo Neos deck profile. Instead, I have two things. First, I want to kind of tease an Infernoble slash Noble Knight United Knights deck. That's going to be coming out probably within the next couple days. I'm waiting for all the max rarity pieces to come in. Yes, the deck will be in max rarity. At least the Noble Knight stuff will be. I know there will be a couple pieces that might not quote-unquote be max rarity, but it's going to be really sick to see that. And about my camera. And it's going to be a United Knights build. So it will involve some of the older Knights. And that's just like how I make my decks. I don't know. I enjoy the nostalgia. I enjoy playing like some of the older cards in the new decks just to see, that they work. But today's video is actually going to be a discussion. And I was kind of online and I saw a ban list discussion video, and one of my comments was called by should come back to 2 or 3. And usually whenever you say that, you get met with the response of either one of two things. Somebody completely agrees with you, or they say no, called by the grave should be banned, it should be eliminated from the game. Which I cannot understand that. I cannot fathom that viewpoint. But please, if you have that viewpoint, please tell me below why that is. Okay, because Called by the Grave is the same thing as Crossout Designator. It does the same thing. It just requires your cost is to pay this one card. Okay, if I activate Crossout Designator, which I actually don't own a copy, I was looking to see if I did. I don't. You have to send that card from your deck to negate it. So like if my opponent plays Ash, I go Crossout and I send the Ash. Which okay, cool. But if you want to worry. You want to worry about like a plethora of hand traps. You have to play them all in your deck. Some decks don't have the room for that. That's where this card came in handy. You play 3 Crossout. You have a 33% chance of seeing it in your opening hand. Okay, and I think it might be 25 or 28 if you're going first. You have a little bit smaller of a chance because you're only drawing 5 cards. But you have the essentially close to the same chance of them drawing one of their 3 copies of Ash, one of their 3 copies of Troll. Okay, now I believe Called by the Grave would be at about 5%. I think it's a close to 5 or maybe 6 to 7% chance on an opening hand. And it like sometimes the deck you're playing, you know what I mean? You only have a couple starters. If you don't see them all, or if you see one and then you see Called by, you're set. But if you don't draw that Called by, you're screwed because there's umpteen hand traps in the game. And I feel like that is the most irritating thing is everything should have a counter, in my opinion. I think every single thing should have a counter. So even Called by the Grave has a counter in the form of a hand trap. Ghost Bell can counter this, okay? Now, I think that it's totally fair that every single thing in the game has a counter. So you make a really broken board. You make a busted board. I open up no hand traps. But say I open up something like Dark Ruler No More, okay? Your Dragoon, your Barone, I'm trying to think, your Mirror Jade, this is a counter, okay? It's completely fine. Nobody has a problem with Dark Ruler No More. Nobody has, I forgot to get my copy of Forbidden Droplets out. It's literally the same thing, same case. Super Poly, okay? Super Poly, that is a counter. That is a counter. It is an interaction with your opponent. When your opponent does something that is, damning to you and can make you lose the game, you run a counter, right? This card, I mean, obviously, Super Poly was I feel like it was banned for a while and then also it won. But now, I mean, we have Kaijus, we have Lava Golem, we have Spear Mode. There are counters for every single thing in the game. I do not think that hand trap should be exempt. And I feel like that's kind of the problem that I feel like a lot of players online will say, well, hand trap is the hand trap is the interaction. Okay, fair point. But what my point is that every single thing in the game should have a counter. Okay, there should not be anything in the game that is exempt from having a counter. Cards that cannot be destroyed or targeted have Dark Ruler No More, have Super Poly. Say, for example, back when Imperial Order was a thing, okay? Imperial Order, you could just chain. Yeah, I think you could just chain Twin Twisters or Cosmic Cyclone or MSD and then pop it before it got live. Same deal with anti-spell fragments. Like, there's a lot of powerful things in the game that will shut you down. Anti-spell fragments. I should have grabbed out my my skill drain. Skill drain. Okay, there's a lot of powerful things in the game. They all have counters. Okay, they all have counters. All right, and that's something that I feel like we should definitely have for every aspect of the game. There should be a counter. There should be a play around. There should be something. There should not be anything in the game that says you cannot play at all. I know that sounds weird coming from me, who is, I play Cosmo Neos, but there's still a work around that. You have hand, you have your graveyard. I've gotten beat, not a lot, but there's been a good amount of times where I've played Cosmo Neos and I still lost because there's workarounds. Okay, there's other things that you can play. There's counters that exist within the game to stop what you're doing. And I understand hand traps are the purpose of, like, say, for example, making, like, boards that can't, your opponent can't respond to. I understand that, okay? But in the end of the day, it is very frustrating when hand traps are you have so many of them. And what's the counter? 1 copy of Called By, 3 cross out. I mean, Gamma used to be a decent one, but Gamma's at 1. Sci-Frame Gear Gamma's at 1 copy. So, okay, we have all the hand traps are untouched. Ash is at 3, Imperm is at 3, Veiler is at 3, Droll is at 3, Dimension Shifter is at 3, Ghost Ogre is not really used anymore, but Ghost Ogre is at 3. All of the hand traps are untouched, but Called By's at 1. That just doesn't make sense to me. I think that everything in the game should have a counter. Everything should have something that can say, hey, you're activating that. Well, I'm going to activate that. Hey, I'm going to flip over anti-spell fragrance in my standby phase, or in my opponent's standby phase. They're going to activate Twin Twisters, or Cosmic Cyclone, or MST. I'm going to make this really, really, really sick board, and my opponent's going to go Super Poly. I mean, it happens. You know what I mean? You lose to crazy shit. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what happens. But sometimes I just feel like hand traps should not be like as prominent as they are. Like I mean, they're solid. They're good cards for the quick interaction. I mean, they phased a lot of literal traps out of the game, and I mean that makes sense. The game is going to speed up. But I mean, now we're seeing we're in a Droll format. I don't really know where this format's going to go. I would anticipate and say that Droll would still be pretty relevant. So, I mean, like, I don't really have that much of a problem with Ash and Imperm. Most of my decks I play can survive 1, sometimes, depending on the hand, 2 hand traps, and then still make a decent board. But when you get Drolled, I mean, it's just, like, not fun. So it's like, at least you would have something that can kind of get you out of that situation. But guys, that's all I have for this video. I just kind of wanted to say my thoughts on Called By, and I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts are too. Sorry it's taken a little bit longer for my Cosmo Neos deck profile, because I want to make sure that I get all the pieces and the deck is perfect. I do not want to profile this thing until it is like really, not that the last ones I haven't put out were good, but like I really want this thing to be a king list. It needs to be the thing that, like, I want it to be the definitive Cosmo Neos list that everybody plays the deck. They're like, that's the fucking deck I'm playing. I want my deck to be like the list. So, guys, stay tuned. Also, stay tuned for Infernoble night stuff. If you haven't, check out Pound Manga Mat. Yeah, if you haven't, I use my son's Paw Patrol table to make videos. That's actually pretty funny. But if you haven't, check out Pound Manga Mats. They are literally all of my mats that I own are from PAL. No, I'm not sponsored. No, I'm not affiliated with. I just really love the product. Maybe one day. But yeah, I love their products. I have a problem because I have probably like 30. I don't have 30. Maybe like 20. I have at least 20. But I love these mats. They're really amazing. So guys, give me a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, and tell me your opinion. I'm curious. Like, should Called By come back? Should it be banned? Should it stay at 1? Should it come back to 3? Should it come back to 2? I mean, I definitely think even giving us Called By at 2 is fair. You know what I mean? Because like with all the flipping hand traps running around, it would be nice. And I know coming from a Cosmo Neos player, I'm gonna start playing Fusion Deployment, so that kind of mitigates, you know, needing Ash, or not needing Ash, needing Called By to hit the Ash. So, guys, Cypher Slacker out.